We have a real life mystery. Military says suicide, family says murder. Let's put up the picture of the young lady in the middle of this saga. The family of a former U.S. Army soldier stationed in Germany is demanding answers regarding a recent death, all right? Before her premature demise, the 27-year-old Black woman told relatives that she no longer felt safe with the others she was stationed with overseas. This came out right before she was found dead. This is Denisha Montgomery, the mother of three based at Fort Stewart, Georgia, joined the Army 2 years ago and was transferred in the summer of 2022 to the 139th Military Police Company stationed in Germany. When she got overseas, things started to change and her enthusiasm for the armed forces diminished. Her mysterious death actually happened August 9th. So let me take you back, and this story has not received the national attention it deserves. The military told the family the young woman died by suicide. But only 21 days prior to her death, Montgomery said she was afraid for her own life and pointed to other officers within her unit as the source for her anxiety and anguish. 21 days before she was found dead. The family shared on Tuesday, July 19th, Montgomery called her family, asking them to record her conversation. On the 12-minute televisit, she said, and I quote, "I just want to come home. Look what they did to me." Montgomery showed her loved ones a series of serious bruises and open wounds on her body, implicating other officers as the perpetrators of her assault. According to the Black woman, she said she and some other military police from her unit went off base to a water park. While hanging out, she shared they all started to drink and enjoyed each other's company. During the return to the barracks, she says members of the unit assaulted her. She said they choked me out like they was doing in the car. I kept telling them I can't breathe. While crying, she told relatives that she was going to report the assault, but never did. Remember, this is all part of the recorded conversation that she mandated her family to record out of fear of her own safety. Instead, she texted her uncle the next day saying, and I quote, "They told me if I report the assault, I'll be charged with assault too because I mushed the female and bit the male that was choking me." Her relatives still reported the 4 military police officers who assaulted Montgomery to the Red Cross, but they did not know about the threat that she reported. 3 weeks later, Ms. Montgomery was found dead. She was supposed to return home a month later at the end of September. The mom said the Army called her saying, "We're sorry to inform you that your daughter has committed suicide by suffocation." Did you hear me? Suicide by suffocation. There's more. Despite the family's concerns on how one could possibly suffocate themselves and the lack of care the Army seemed to have for Ms. Montgomery, they still said they did not expect foul play. So the Army says it has not arrived at a definitive conclusion about Montgomery's cause of death, telling Army Times in a statement, "While we are yet to have a final determination of the cause or manner of death, we can say there were no signs of foul play." That is the official statement from the armed forces. Interesting, isn't it? Let me highlight some data from Army Times on how prevalent harassment in the Army is. More than half of women soldiers who report sexual harassment say they are repeatedly harassed, according to a Rand Corporation study about sexual harassment and gender discrimination faced by soldiers. The most prevalent forms of harassment are attempts at unwanted sexual relationships, being ignored, mistreated, and insulted due to their gender, and hearing they are not as good as men. Reports of sexual assaults across the US military jumped by 13% last year, driven by significant increases in the Army and the Navy as bases began to move out of pandemic restrictions and public venues reopened, the Associated Press has learned. The increase in those reports is also the disclosure that close to 36,000 service members said in a confidential survey that they had experienced unwanted sexual contact, a dramatic increase over the roughly 20,000 who said that in a similar survey in 2018, US defense and military officials said. Let's put up the GoFundMe, okay? This is so sad. Montgomery's family, they do have plans to launch a full investigation into her death. Beyond the inquiry by the CID, they are raising money for the investigation. That's the GoFundMe account, hashtag Justice for Montgomery. And you can find this GoFundMe as well. I want you to imagine if this was a member of your family, your daughter, your mother, your sister, your aunt, a good friend. And she called you and she said, I am in fear of my life. I'm in Germany. There's nothing I can do. I just got into a physical altercation with other soldiers. They tried to assault me. They tried to sexually violate me. I have wounds. Let me show you the markings. Let me show you the cuts and the bruises. I'm going to report this. I need you to record this whole conversation for evidence in case something bad happens to me. And then 3 weeks later, the unthinkable. You get a phone call that your baby girl is dead. And then they tell you she died by suffocating herself. And you know your daughter is a fighter. You know that she had no indication of committing suicide. You know that this would not have been her go-to. Right now, the Army, ironically enough, they have come up with a conclusion while saying at the same time they have no conclusion. They have already concluded there is no foul play, while also saying their investigation is not conclusive. Not conclusive, but they made a conclusion already. Adrienne, what are your thoughts on this case?
You know, historically, women have not been safe when it comes to being members of the armed forces, which is incredibly disheartening, in part because it has actually gotten better in recent years, yet it is clearly still extremely dangerous for women. And this is something that I had researched in my book, Staying in the Game. The fact is that when you're in these traditionally male employment situations where individuals are in the game because they want to dominate, because they feel that they are stronger, that they are better, how many of these males operate, it's the thought that we are not on the same team and thus I must subjugate you. I must put you in a position where you feel weak, you feel vulnerable, where you feel humiliated and denigrated. And that's what they did to this young lady. But then to go as far as to take her life, that's definitely what it seems like happened here. And it must be so incredibly frustrating for the family because they can't even have her body to conduct an autopsy in good time before the evidence has dissipated. Yeah. And so to be able to want to seek justice for your child, to know that she has been victimized, it's so incredibly unfair, particularly when you're going against the US government. They have the evidence, they have the documentation, they have everything, yet they're spinning a story that is not consistent with who this person is.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to follow it. Obviously, I do expect there to be updates very soon.